Hello and welcome to the Social Bullet Conversation. It is the last week of June / first week of July 2018, and Ams and I from Hopper HQ are here to talk to you and, well, predominantly each other, about the best, biggest, most exciting, interesting news and developments within the social media and digital marketing world. It's going to be a short one, predominantly because there's not a huge amount of news.
And the England game's on.
And predominantly because the England game is on in a very short amount of time. So we obviously have to all go and watch that. Now, I've got one for you, Ams.
Go on.
Facebook launch brands. They've called it Brands Collabs Manager. I don't like the name, but essentially it's an influencer marketing platform on Facebook.
Yeah.
I know you know this one because you have also been showing me and telling me about it. But essentially what it does is all of these influencer marketing platforms you've seen pop up all around the world over the last couple of years, connecting brands and influencers for all different platforms. It's now on Facebook, and they have opened it up to a few brands, opened it up to a few influencers, and they're trying to matchmake and marry fantastic marketing relationships. What do you think about this?
Well, firstly, I agree with the name thing. It's not the strongest name, but kind of see why they chose to call it Brands Collab Manager rather than Influencer Marketing Manager. So I feel like Brands Collab Manager appeals to the brands, which is essentially what they want, rather than influencers. That makes sense, because they want the brands to be on Facebook, running campaigns on Facebook.
So this is the purpose of it, right? They've basically seen that brands going where the influencers are. Influencers have actually influence everywhere, but Instagram is almost too hot for Facebook to be getting influencer budget.
Yes, I think so. I mean,
I've spoke to a lot of brands doing influencer marketing, and all they're talking about is Instagram influencer marketing.
I mean, if history is anything to tell, whatever Facebook does, sooner or later Instagram will adopt it as well, because parent-child company. But I can see why they chose Facebook as well. I was reading some articles and people are suggesting that because of the whole push for video marketing, video content, and the big player in the space is YouTube. So on one side you've got IGTV that just launched, trying to get creators on there, producing content on there. But on the other side you've got Facebook video, which is a huge thing. But essentially a lot of Facebook video is just YouTube clips being uploaded onto Facebook.
Yeah, sure.
It's nothing original. So they're suggesting that they want creators to adopt Facebook as their primary platform to create content on, to attract brands to.
Well, because they've got Facebook Watch now, right, which is really pulling a lot of people. And it's kind of, this is what Facebook do. Facebook being Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, everything, is they're taking everyone down. So Snapchat is suffering because of Insta stories. Now IGTV and Facebook Watch are going after YouTube. So this does kind of make sense. I'm personally quite excited by it.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's exciting. I mean, if I was an influencer, or can't really speak on behalf of influencers, but if I was an influencer, it'd be hard for me to get to Facebook, because I don't feel like Facebook is a platform for influencers. Does that make sense? Primarily because of the audience on there, and influencers are the millennial generation.
But the concept of influencing kind of works across platform, and I think that influencers, as you said, this is currently just Facebook, but actually this has to be going onto Instagram relatively soon.
I imagine it will, yeah.
If I was an influencer, my main concern would be about actually Facebook owning the, not just the channel which we're promoting on, but also the method of payment. Now obviously they're doing this so they can cut themselves into this deal, and I know that one of Facebook, Instagram, or Facebook platforms' issues has been that there's been lots of money exchanging and people not using ads because they're using influencers, and they don't make any money on that at all. So when they introduced the sponsored tags in probably about 6 months ago, any sponsored content has to be tagged as sponsored. It essentially enabled Facebook to see who was making money through the platform. Now this is almost the one next step in order for them to say, okay, we're all making this amount of money, here's actually how we can get our cut for it. And I know that a lot of brands, BuzzFeed for example, with their Tasty channels, they're not allowed to promote any content with sponsorship within it on their organic channels. They have to push that through paid marketing.
Do you know what? I never really thought about it like that. It's an interesting thing you just said. Because everyone goes on about influencer marketing, it's the next big thing, it's great, it's credible. But it's actually alienating Facebook and Instagram and social platforms from the people running the campaign to use a Facebook campaign or ads manager to run the campaign through, to just do it independently. Which I get why they done this brand's collab manager. Because people will have to run their campaigns via Facebook, essentially.
Yeah, which sort of makes sense for everyone, because you'd kind of hope that there is a lot of fragmentation within the influencer marketing space, and for context, within Hop HQ we actually started an influencer marketing agency, Real Tribe, hence the branded cushions, and it's like the Wild West out there. It's tough. There's so many people that are actually offering things that they don't really have much experience. There's lots of fake followers, there's lots of fake engagement, and if...
Does it make it harder though for influencers? Because now like you're literally next to another influencer who could potentially take that campaign away from you.
Yes.
So you got to work twice as hard to show you have better reach. But how do you...
Isn't that good though? For us as brands?
So
we're talking brands and influencers, right?
Yeah, as brands, yeah.
And ultimately, I think one thing I've seen in the influencer marketing space which has been painful is brands were used to paying so much for influencer marketing, and in the bubble which happened maybe 2 years ago, they almost lost sight of what return on investment was, and this almost will hopefully bring that back down to value by putting relevant competition in place and a marketplace behind it. Facebook can kind of pull this together and actually provide the right data or the right amount of data to brands. Hopefully they can get more trust and therefore more budgets, and actually put some regulation around influence marketing, which is probably needed within the space.
I think that's a positive thing about the whole thing, is the transparency, because you can see the audience reach of each influencer you're trying to connect with. And I saw recently Unilever have decided not to run any influencer campaigns with anyone they see who has fake followers.
Oh, interesting.
So now brands have been more educated on how people create a following, create big accounts and whatnot. You know, like a few years ago, Instagram did that big sweep and deleted all these fake accounts, but it's still ongoing.
No, of course, yeah.
But yeah, the transparency is great. I mean, as a brand, if I was to connect with an influencer, I mean, now that I know of this, it would be the first place to go.
I'm exactly the same. So from the influencer side, it is good because it offers another marketplace. It is good because it separates the wheat from the chaff in terms of hopefully getting rid of bad influencers or bad acting influencers. I would be concerned as an influencer whether or not they're going to throttle my reach unless I pay more, and how much that cut's going to be and how far that goes. But that's almost fair because you're paying to play on that platform.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. As a brand, of course you'd go there. Of course you'd go there to browse. And
makes complete sense.
One thing I was looking at within the brand's Collabs manager, I think it's the second pluralization on Collabs. It's brands Collabs manager. Doesn't need that, I don't think. Anyway, all the influencers have to actually create a profile on brands Collabs manager. So it actually means that instead of just looking at people's Instagram accounts, you have the specific... You're browsing a catalogue of influencers.
Yeah, it's like a little mini CV for them.
Absolutely, and specifically designed. So as a brand, I think it would be excellent, and I actually think it will be much easier for people to dip their toe into influencer marketing.
Does it make it harder though for influencers? Because now like you're literally next to another influencer who could potentially take that campaign away from you.
Yes.
So you got to work twice as hard to show you have better reach. But how do you...
Isn't that good though? For us as brands. So we're talking brands and influencers, right?
Yeah, as brands, yeah.
And ultimately, I think one thing I've seen in the influencer marketing space which has been painful is brands were used to paying so much for influencer marketing, and in the bubble which happened maybe 2 years ago, they almost lost sight of what return on investment was, and this almost will hopefully bring that back down to value by putting relevant competition in place and a marketplace behind it.
Yeah, very true. I feel like a platform like this and any other future platforms that do come out on like Twitter or whatnot, if we do see that, it is bringing the control back to the brands and back to the businesses and the companies who are doing the influencer marketing. Well, before it was, I've got 2 million followers, pay me this or nothing. It's hard room to negotiate.
But based on the assumption that we trust the platforms, and after Cambridge Analytica, after like there's a lot of talk at the moment that Facebook are faking tracking pixels. They're saying that people are getting inflated conversions on their reporting than what they actually are. So all of this is true, and all of this is amazing, and brings them together, which is fantastic, as long as we trust the platform. So that's the question.
Yeah, that is.
Do we trust the platforms in order to house this?
I mean, there's a big question mark over Facebook at the moment, so we'll have to answer that one another day.
We love you though, Facebook, just so you know. Finally, with this, the other thing is, I kind of feel bad as somebody in the social media marketing space, building tools, helping marketers. I feel bad for all the people that have built these platforms. I mean, there's thousands of marketplace platforms specifically for social influencers. Are they going to disappear?
I mean, that's just the power of Facebook, isn't it? Like, they can bring something out tomorrow and then crush a whole industry just because of the power. I mean, they did it with Snapchat. We've seen it. They could easily bring out, I don't know if I should say this on camera, but a scheduling tool, and it'd be all over everyone.
Beep, cut.
Do you know what I mean?
No, it's so true, and that's the risk that we run as business people building on somebody else's platform, and it's kind of theirs for the taking because they build the ecosystem. It's just that they don't build the ecosystem. The people investing into their platform and ecosystem help build it into a bigger thing. So there is a balance, and we've had conversations with Facebook. There is a balance of, yes, we know we can build and move into certain industries, but they don't want to put off anybody from investing into their platform because then it's all on them essentially.
Yeah.
Interesting. So currently this is only available to a subset of brands and a subset of influencers. You can apply to be a member, but it's basically going to be slowly rolling out. I reckon it's going to take 2 or 3 weeks before it gets wider access available, and they pretty much just do this to make sure that not 1,000 brands go on in the first minute and there's no influencers and vice versa. So
it'll be interesting when it's finally out to have a play with it.
Yeah, well,
and we can have a review of it as well.
We'll certainly do that. I've just applied for our brands to be literally just before we jumped on this, so hopefully within the next few days we'll be having a play. What have you got?
Snapchat, good old Snapchat. They're stepping into gaming apparently. So
is that their new thing this week?
It is, yeah. So I don't know if you saw the Snapchat filters that came out for the past couple months. And little silly games they had, where you had like raise your eyebrows to slice a tomato or something.
Which I like the way you're now calling them silly, but when they came out, we spent almost a whole day on them.
I was on there for a while, but apparently they're stepping into actual proper mobile games.
What is that?
So sources suggest that they've purchased a small games development company, and they're planning to have a little game store within the Snapchat app, which you can download games from and play within Snapchat.
Okay.
It might sound a bit bizarre, but we've seen it before on Facebook. So I don't remember 2009.
Very well,
yeah.
One of my favourite years.
Do you remember Farmville?
I loved. No, I didn't. I was far too cool for Farmville.
You played
obviously.
Farmville? I played Farmville and Texas Hold'em poker religiously. So yeah, they're trying to go into that direction. So I'm assuming there'll be a Play Store or a Snap Store. Download the game, play it, and it'll be just as good as a mobile game you got on your phone. That's what we know so far.
So there's values of this, and what you've said there. We've seen it in Facebook. It worked for them. It's held the generation. That's all very well and good. My only reservation, and I suppose this is almost my general scepticism to updates coming out of Snapchat, is they seem to be doing 1,000 things not particularly well. So yes, we see updates every single week coming from Facebook and Instagram, but they seem to have legs which they're going for. But Snapchat feels like it's just trying to get feature parity with other people. And yes, they're battling out with Insta Stories at the moment, but they don't seem to be holding it. So we had the merchandise store. Last week they said they're going to start doing a reality TV series on the platform. They've started doing video calling. They've started doing these game filters. I've just said merchandise store, but basically there's been a new thing every week, and it hasn't felt like there's much depth behind it. Is this going to be different?
I feel like that's a biased opinion because you don't use the platform as much.
Interestingly, we had a new guy in the office today, and he's younger than us, and he's much younger. He's actually just here on a placement 16, and I mentioned that actually we think Snapchat is in a bit of trouble, and he was shocked. He thought that I was crazy for thinking that Snapchat wasn't the only thing. And so yeah, you are absolutely right. I am slightly biased on that.
I do agree slightly. They are doing a lot of things very fast, but that might be an age thing. Like as an app, they've not really matured much as Facebook and Instagram.
That's the problem. Yeah.
And the updates that they are launching are massive updates. They're not incremental, small changes that we've seen with Instagram. But I think it's positive. It's a positive for Snapchat if they do manage to be successful with this. I mean, they've got the whole social platform behind the games product, which could potentially do work. I remember when I was in school, going back about 10 years now. Can't believe I just said that.
10 years,
10
wow.
years, yeah.
Oh man.
But Texas Hold'em Poker on Facebook, it was the only thing we played. We used to run home from school, jump on a lobby together, and just play poker.
Yeah.
And we were just hooked on it. And oblivious to us, there's ads all around the game, but we just ignored them all because we were just kids. We didn't understand what was going on.
Yeah.
But we were hooked on it. And then Farmville as well. Everyone was hooked on it.
And do you think that you got more affinity to the platform because you got so used to playing games on it?
I feel like I spent more time on the platform because of that, because my friends were on there. And now I'm invested more into it.
Because that's just where you're used to hanging out.
Yeah. It's the virtual hangout. Yeah.
So this is what Snapchat are going for, essentially.
I think so. Because now you've got group video chat with 50 people, group chat. You got stories. I mean, it's the MSN of the era.
Yeah, makes sense
for these kids, in it.
So you were saying something earlier. I overheard you speaking to Nicola about House of Fraser. So House of Fraser, for those people who don't know, big British retailer. Actually, I think they're international as well, and they're going out of business because they didn't change who they targeted at, and they basically just died with their customers. Well, not everyone who shops at House of Fraser is dead, but is there an element of this? How
I feel like you can draw an analogy to it. Facebook is like, if you ask anyone below 18, 15 to 18, 14 to 18, Facebook's for old people.
Yeah.
Like if you go on Facebook, it's predominantly people who joined the platform years ago and they've just stayed on there, aged on there. But I can't see, maybe this is my naivety speaking, I can't see a 16-year-old waking up and saying I'm joining Facebook for the social aspect of it, because it's not what it used to be. I say all this to say this, that the analogy that I drew with House of Fraser was, when you go there now, it's very old school. They don't really update it much. There's not really a food court. There's no food vendors. All the brands in there are pretty stale.
Yeah.
They cater to an older audience, but that older audience is slowly not becoming the consumer anymore. And the younger audience, which was 14, 15, 16, 5 years ago, are now the consumers now. That's where I feel like Selfridges, maybe John Lewis as well, have followed the trend a bit more. So they cater to them, having cool stores, younger brands, dare I say. And now the people who they targeted earlier on are now their customers now, if that makes sense.
Okay, so they've acted as a feeder for themselves rather than like dying and aging with their audience.
Yeah, I mean, it's like...
I suppose it's staying relevant, but to where you want to be rather than who you're currently with at the time. Yeah,
I guess it's a relevance thing as well. I mean, what kind of analogy can I bring to this?
The other thing is that Instagram and Snapchat are actually competing on for similar things, but they are almost for separate audiences primarily at the moment, but they're just trying to bleed into each other's areas essentially. And Facebook as a group are doing a really great job of acquiring into different areas, but they haven't yet got something which would be for those 14, 15, 16 year olds that Snapchat has. So I suppose the game with this, extending this analogy of the shops and growing with the audience, the game is also almost, can Instagram or Facebook via Instagram get younger? Can Snapchat get older with their audience? Or can one of them buy a competitor that has that other area of the market?
I feel like it's a branding thing as well. When you go on Snapchat, it's very colourful, very light-hearted, got all the Bitmoji stuff. I feel like Instagram is becoming more a bit bland.
Well, it's bland's a tough one. It's become more, let's say, customizable by being neutral. So it's bland in that it is kind of a blandish design, but that just means that your Instagram experience is shaped by who you follow, what you do, how you interact.
Very true.
Whereas Snapchat, you're right, it's like really colourful, really popping filters, you want it straight away, and it's more It shapes your experience more than what Instagram does now. But I think that's just because Instagram naturally has a wider appeal, has more audience. So
I feel like this reminds me of Musical.ly as well.
okay.
That was tagged to be the next big social platform.
What's happened with Musical.ly?
I've not heard much about it recently.
Kind of
died down, yeah. Kind of died down. I'm not sure what happened with it.
So there you have it. Any final words?
If Farmville comes back to Snapchat, I will surely be downloading it. And playing that.
What if Farmville came back to Facebook?
So that's interesting you say that, because I'm going to say no.
Really?
Be controversial, yeah.
That is controversial.
Reason being, I don't have active friends on Facebook.
Was Farmville a very social game?
Not that I remember.
I remember playing it, but being embarrassed and nervous that it would post anything onto my Facebook.
Yeah, I think you need friends to help you farm in it.
Right.
Help you cultivate.
So there you have it. Facebook are moving more into the influencer marketing space with their platform. Snapchat are this week moving into gaming, but there's much more strategy behind both of them. We will certainly keep you updated on this and all the other news, insights, trends, everything within the social and digital marketing space. Please do subscribe to this podcast wherever you are watching us, and sending your insights, your news, your opinions.
Love to hear from you.
Love to hear from you. Have a good day.